Hello and welcome back to Love Art at Home. In this tutorial we're going to be making magical toadstool houses. So you will need at least 250 grams of clay in total, a suitable surface to work on, so either a board or some greaseproof paper, some slip, which is a mixture of clay and water, a rolling pin, paintbrush, cocktail stick and various other tools that you have lying around the house to create textures. We're going to start by making the base of the toadstool. So to do this you need to weigh out 150 grams of clay. Roll the clay into a ball using your hands and then create a pinch pot. So to do this, hold the clay firmly in one hand and push firmly into the clay until you're about 1 centimetre from the edge. Then holding the clay in your hand, slowly rotate whilst pinching together with your thumb and 2 fingers. It's really important to do this part slowly and gradually to try and keep the shape of the base of the toadstool the way you want it to be. Aim for the walls of your thumb pot to be approximately 1 centimetre thick all the way around. Once you're happy with the base of your toadstool, you can turn it upside down onto the board to have a look at the shape. Now you may want to add a battery operated tea light candle inside your toadstool. If this is the case, make sure the base of your toadstool is big enough to accommodate the candle, so just test that out before going any further. You want the base of your toadstool to be reasonably tall and fairly wide because the clay will shrink, even air drying clay, up to about 7%, so you need to make sure there is plenty of room rather than the candle just fits inside. Once you're happy with all that, then you can start to decorate the base of your toadstool. I'm going to start by adding a door, so I'm using a cocktail stick just to draw into the clay. It's really important that you don't push too hard when you're doing this, because if you go right through the clay you will start to weaken the base of the toadstool. Don't forget, if you do anything that you don't like, you can just use your finger to smooth it over and start again. Now there really are no rules about how you decorate the base of your toadstool. I'm going to add a vine around the door, so I'm going to take a small ball of clay and roll it out into a sausage shape. Trim it down to size and then put that on around the door. So don't forget, when you're joining 2 pieces of clay together, you must use the score and slip method. So I'm going to score lines on the base of the toadstool and also onto the vine that I'm going to be applying. If you're putting bits of clay on that are really small and fiddly, don't worry about scoring lines, just put the slip on and attach it. It would be really nice if you had a combination of some things that have been drawn into the base of your toadstool and some things that have been added on. I'm just using a cocktail stick to add a little bit of texture to the vine. So I'm going to add some windows next. You might want to have a circular window. It's entirely up to you what design you go for. So I've got a circular window one side, I'm going to do a square window this side. Don't forget not to push too hard. I'm just going to be adding some flowers and vines all around the outside. Now it's important not to draw your design too near the top of the base, because that won't be seen once we put the top on. Other than that, you can do anything you like, so you can make it as detailed as possible. When you're happy with the design on the base of the toadstool, put that to one side so we can start working on the top. So for the top of the toadstool, you need to weigh out about 100 grams of clay. Roll that into a ball using your hands, and then use a rolling pin to flatten out into a circle. Now it's best to stand up to do this, but don't push too hard. Go slowly and gently so that you can get a nice even circle. I like to just roll 2 or 3 times and then stop pick up the clay, turn it a quarter turn to the left and then roll again, just 3 times. Stop, pick up, turn a quarter turn and roll again. If you follow this method, you will get a nice even circle shape. If you don't follow this method, you'll end up with a long thin strip of clay. So really do concentrate when you're rolling this out. Check the size of the top of your toadstool before you attach it properly with scoring and slip. So just lay it gently on the top. If it's too big, you can cut some off. If it's too small, you can roll it out a little bit thinner. Now you can probably see on the edge of the top of my toadstool that the edges are quite cracked and dry in places. Now if this bothers you, you can just simply put some water on and smooth that over. However, I actually really like this effect and I tend to leave the edges a bit dry and cracked because I think they look a bit more authentic. Once you're happy with the size, then you need to securely put this into place by scoring on the top of the base of your toadstool, so hatching and cross hatching all over that top area, and again hatching and cross hatching into the middle of your top of your toadstool. Apply a good dollop of slip to one surface and then place the top on, trying to match the areas where you've hatched lines. Push down gently on the top of the toadstool to make sure that the top section is attached to the base. Next, using some spare clay, I'm going to pinch off about 7 or 8 small balls of clay. I'm not going to weigh these out, I'm just going to do it by eye. It doesn't matter if they're slightly different sizes. So I'm going to roll these bits of clay into small balls and I'm going to be sticking them on the top of my toadstool to have raised circles. So I'm just going to position these randomly on the top of the toadstool, scoring lines into the top section and then again into the ball of clay, applying slip to one surface and then pushing down firmly into a circle and just smoothing over with a little bit of water. I want these to be quite dramatic, so I'm not pushing them too flat. I want them to be quite raised. So how you decorate the top of your toadstool is entirely up to you. You could put some circles on like I have done, or you could just add a texture over the whole top. It's entirely your choice. So next I'm going to add a chimney to my toadstool house. I'm going to start off by rolling a small sausage of clay and just tapping it on the board to get a flat end. Using my cocktail stick, I'm going to be scoring lines onto the top of the toadstool where I want the chimney to be, and again on the base of the chimney. Apply slip to one surface and push firmly into place. If you've got any excess slip coming out around the edge, you can just clean that up with a paintbrush. Once you've got the chimney into place, you can use the end of a paintbrush to create the hole in the chimney. So do that bit after you've put it on. I've decided the top of my toadstool is looking a little bit boring, so I'm going to add some lines using the side of a lollipop stick. Now, as I've said before, you can do anything you like on the top of your toadstool. These are just ideas. I've decided to put a ladybird right at the top of my toadstool. So I've just put that on in the same way that I've done the circles. So scratching both surfaces, applying slip, and then pushing down into place, drawing on the details with the cocktail stick. So that's pretty much done. All I'm going to do now is use my fingers to crimp and shape the top of the toadstool. I like to do this so that you can see a lot of the detail that's underneath on the base. The final shape is entirely up to you. And there you have your finished magical toadstool. This really is one of my favourite things to make in clay. I just think they're really beautiful and I can't wait to see what you create at home. If, like me, you'd like to put a battery-operated tea light candle inside your toadstool house, you're going to need to make some holes so you can see the glow of the light coming through. If you want to do this, please leave your clay to dry for probably an hour or so. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel to see our weekly tutorials that you can join in with anytime.